Yo guys, Jalen here from Team Burning Infinity doing a Demon Lord deck profile. And sorry once again about Steinblade. I messed up in the video against Joey because it was my first time ever playing with all the new cards, so I guess I didn't read over stuff. Anyway, I'm here to bring you my profile. Of course, my flag is Dungeon, Demon Lords, and all. And my buddy is Either the Waterlord, Steinblade Joker. You may only call this card when you have a Demon Lord monster. Now, I'm sorry, like I said in the video, I fucked up because I was new to all the dungeon stuff. Anyway, he's 3/1/3, and when he attacks opponent's center monster, then he automatically destroys that monster. It's really good for helping to deal with really center-based decks and something like Move, or even the greatest thing like dealing with Kojiro with Move and Soul Guard. So then it immediately gets rid of a Kojiro because then it kills it with the effect, and then when the attack goes through because it's still on the field because of Soul Guard, then I can kill it with kills it with its stats. Next, we have 3 Bronze Golem Jace. Jace is an okay card. He's a decent size 0. I like him a lot. But in this deck, he's going to be bumped down to 2. I don't have a 4th Masseria, so I'm running 3 of him. Normally, I would run 2 because I do have a couple of size 3s in my deck. But other than that, that's the only reason he's here. Because other than that, he's just 2 crit. And I have plenty of 2 crits in this deck, as you'll see later. So he's not so great. But he is great for 2/2/1 size 0. Then for my buddy Steinblade, I've already gone over this card, so I'm not really doing any explanation with him right now. Next for size 1, we have two Thunder Emperor Zane Blessstand. Blessstand is a card I've gone over in the video where I said he's a weak nigga. He is 1/2/1, and he's free to call, but he has 2 Thunder Mines. Like I said, He has a Thunder Mine for when my opponent equips an item, and a Thunder Mine for my opponent cast a set spell. So he's really good. Sometimes I do go against a deck where I can get the 2 damage, but other than that, he's just a decent 2 crit, and he's just a Demon Lord, so he can give me more attacks, so I can fill up my Impact Soul. Next up, we have 3 1-gauge Demon. He is basically just your El Quixote clone, 3000 power, 2 crit, 1000 defense. It's an El Quixote clone. It's for Dungeon World. It's a really great card in Dungeon Enemies, but just like Jace and a card that you're going to see a little bit later, he's not a Demon Lord, but he is a really good card in the deck, and he's very helpful. Next up, we have 3 copies of 3rd Omni Waterlord Masseria. I love Masseria. I love the art. I love the flavor text. I love this card. This is a 6/2/5 pay 2 gauge. Put 2 spells from my drop zone into its soul. It has lifelink 2 and double attack and Soul Guard. It's a really, really good card. Being a Demon Lord just makes it makes it one of the best cards in my deck. But I think I love the most is it's like Bladewing Phoenix, but I have double Soul Guard, and my opponent can't use so much counter move on it. Like, the only ones they can use are Death Grip and Pillar of Fire, or if the occasional Dragonic Survive. So I really enjoy this card. I love it so much. It was one of the greatest pushes I could ever see for Dungeon Enemies, and I really want to get a 4th copy, but I only have 3 at the moment. Next up, we have 3 Bladewing Phoenix, as I mentioned before. Bladewing Phoenix is the last card that's not a Demon Lord in my deck, but it's a really good card because, like I said, it's like Masseria, but instead it's got less defense, a little less power, but same critical, double attack, no lifelink 2, and it's only got 1 gauge call cost. I really love the card. It was my buddy when I played just Constructs and even my old enemy decks. So it's really, it truly is one of my favorite cards of Dungeon. So of course I wanted to run it in this deck, and he's actually serves a really good purpose because when I'm not trying to keep a good, really good, like trying to throw in Soul Guards things in the center, he's really good at helping me go for damage. Next up, we have 3 Demon Lord Joker Grenville. Joker Grenville has been a iffy card for me. I wanted to run one-eyed Demon Lord Keith 1-8, but he has lifelink, and I don't want more lifelink in his deck, and he only works well in the left to right. So I would rather have something I can work more versatilely with, and that's what Grenville is. He's pay 1 gauge, call cost, 5,000 power, 2 critical, 5,000 defense, and he has Soul Guard because he puts a top deck into his soul, part of his call cost. He's like original Drumebreaker Dragon Ball with 1 less crit. He is a Demon Lord, so he definitely helps out the deck a lot, but he's just basically a watered down version of Drum, but he's still pretty decent in his own aspect. Next, starting up my size 3 lineup, we have 2 Guardian Dragon of Demon Lord Castle Deo Cruiser. Deo Cruiser is a great card. It gets back all Demon Lords of Destructions, 1 Demon Lord or Destruction card from my drop zone, 2 gauge call cost, top deck in the Soul, Soul Guard, Lifelink 2, you know the jazz. You've seen it in my size 3 enemy deck. But in Demon Lords, it's so great because there are so many targets for it to make more use with. And the greatest thing I love about these size 3s in my deck are it lets me finally play a tempo playstyle, which I love so much in dungeon enemies, because before it was hard to balance the size 3s and the size 2s because there was not much synergy. But now with Demon Lords, there is a ton of synergy. And then next up, we have 2 copies of Dragon Demon Lord Arctra. It has a 2 gauge call cost. It has 836 for stats. It has Penetrate, Lifelink 2, and a very lovely ability. During either attack phase, all my Dungeon World spells have their cast cost reduced by 2 gauge. So Shaosan is free. If I choose to play Dungeon Explosion is 2 life, 1 gauge when this thing's out. Commander the Waterlord is 1 gauge. It's so good. So good. I especially love that it's like a better Gargnar, and especially since it was not a triple R like Gargnar, so it wasn't hard to find, hard to get, any of that. But anyway, the greatest thing I like about this thing, it has Penetrate over Gargnar. I understand Gargnar has 4 crit, which is great, but this thing has Penetrate, and that was something that I think dungeon enemies really lacked in terms of a keyword, because only Flood and Meteor Rain and Lilag had it. Now that's quite a few cards, but they're all okay in their own aspect, and I didn't play Flood and Meteor Rain in my old size 3 deck. Anyway, next we have 4 copies of Shaosan and 4 copies of Hidden Crossbow. This is basically my main defense lineup. There's 2 more defensive cards later, but anyway, this is just basic stuff. I'm not even going to get into detail with this. Next up, we have 2 Command of the Waterlord. It is a 3 gauge cast cost, and I may only cast it when a Demon Lord deals damage. And I paid a 3 gauge, and I get to restand a Demon Lord. It is a really good card. I love it, especially when I have enough gauge. When I have a Masseria out already, or if I do it all in 1 turn. Anyway, when I have Masseria and then I go for 2 with the first attack, then they'll block it, and then I'll restand, go for it again, and they'll take it. And then I just commanded a Waterlord and then get a 3rd attack. And then especially it's great when I have my World End. As of for my last 2 defensive spells, we have 2 Cuisines of Castyard. Cuisines of Castyard is a better White Shield clone, which is why I actually enjoy this card. It reduces damage by 3, and I just don't have to not have a center. I like to sometimes call Arctra to the left or right in case if I have an Alex Bane, or if I actually really do want to do a push with a Dominion Rod, and then if they dare try to hit me or kill my monster and then expect me to take lifelink, then I can use this to stop the damage, which is really, really good. Other than that, it's just a really good, easy way sometimes, like when it's other than my other spells, other than like Hidden Crossbow, where it has to be like where I want to destroy a monster with a certain amount of defense, or Shaosan when I need gauge. Sometimes I just like when on like just early 3 crit attacks, I'll just drop this when I have a Masseria so I can get another spell and drop so I can call it. The last of my main spells is a Grimoire clone, as you all know, Oracle Tuval. This is like almost a staple for me in enemy decks. I could take it out, but it's such a really good card with all the life link in the deck. Even though it is minimal lifelink 2, it does start to rack up, so it's really good to have this as a backup when things start looking grim. And for set spells, we have 3 Demon Lords Dungeon. All I need to do is have a Demon Lord out so I can cast and set this thing, and when I do, I can get back a size 1 or less Demon Lord from me, not even just Demon Lord, sorry, and a dungeon enemy from my drop zone by paying its call cost. And pretty much all my things don't have a real call cost, except maybe Steinblade technically, because I do need a Demon Lord monster to call him out first. But other than that, it's a really good card. It gets back all my low-size monsters just for free. Next up is my item lineup. I have 4 copies of Dominion Rod and 2 copies of Adventure Staff Alexbane. Dominion Rod, of course, is a great card because Demon Lord attributes, so I can attack with it for World End, or Commander Waterlord, or get it back with Dale Cruiser. And it boosts all my dungeon enemies like an Armor Knight formation, where it gives them all +1/+1. It makes Masseria 6,000 defense, Grenville 6,000 defense, it makes Dale Cruiser 8,000, it makes Arcdra 7,000. It's so good to raise my defense, because then it makes link attacks happen to center, and then I can Shalsano that one link attack, and then they're just screwed. So I love Dominion Rod, but Alexbane is great in its own right because it helps me deal with heavy walls, get me gauge, and it does 2 decent damage, and then it still gets me gauge if it does that damage. So that's my item lineup. And last but certainly not least, we have Darkness Final Mission card, World End. I love this thing. You just set it for free, and when a Demon Lord attacks you, put the top card of your deck into the soul face down, and when this thing finally hits 5 or more soul at the end of your attack phase, then you get rid of it, destroy all cards in your opponent's field, put them at 1 life so they can't use a nullifier, they can't use just Chillax clones to stop them from going to 1. It's just literally they will take it, and then, I mean, not take it, but they'll just go to 1 life, and then this card's destroyed. The best thing I love about this thing is it makes lifelink make them take the lifelink damage, and they'll lose if that happens. Anyway, I hope you guys like this video. Subscribe to Team Brain for more Buddyfight content, and I'll see you guys later. John from Team Brain for you going out.